Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of the podcast. I am very excited today because we are joined by a returning guest, the lovely Scott McIntyre from up there in Scotland at Vanilla Ink Studios. And Scott has been on the podcast before. It was one of our most popular episodes, actually, talking about his journey into jewelry making. And today he is here to share some stone setting tips and bits of advice with us, because we have recently filmed some courses with Scott, which I know loads of you guys are really excited about, and they form part of the Year 3 diploma program, which is the Advanced Jewellery Diploma. So lots and lots to talk about. But yeah, just to introduce Scott a little bit for anyone who's not met him before, he is a master goldsmith. He is the founding director of Vanilla Ink Jewellery Studios and Jewellery School. He's got more than 25 years experience in the jewellery industry, and I'm sure he's going to update me on that, because I think that...
Don't reveal how old I am.
He's only 21 as well.
I started young. In utero, I started. I've always been a jeweller. I've never been anything else.
There we go. He was a jeweller before he was born.
Indeed,
so he's
yes.
definitely younger than that. And he's an amazing tutor. And I think the thing I love about Scott is he's so giving with his knowledge and his information, even though he's incredibly talented. And he's obviously blushing now because no one likes to be to be bigged up in this way. But he deserves
this is hell for me, listening to somebody say all that about me. Those who know me will know I'll be squirming at the moment, yes. But thank you for buttering up this old man. You've made my day, even though I'm on the outside not showing that. Thank you, Jess. And I'm very glad to be here. So thanks for having me. It's good to be back. And I'm just wondering, if I come back again and do the third time, does that mean you get to keep me? Like when Brazil won the World Cup for the third time, they got to keep the Jules Rimet trophy. So
I think it does, yeah.
We have a niche reference there, I know, but we tend to go on tangents when we talk anyway, so we might as well get that out of the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll keep you, Scott, for sure. Wonderful. So we filmed 3 classes together recently, which all are part of the Advanced Jewellery Diploma. So they are pavé setting, just for anyone who's not seen it yet. Also, we did tension and channel setting, which is kind of like a 2-in-1, but we're going to talk about that. And also the halo setting. Yep. But maybe we should start with just some basics for anyone who's new to stone setting. Starting with pavé setting, what is it, and how can they understand what we're talking about?
Sparkles, that's what pavé is. Pavé setting is very sparkly. It comes from the French for paved, so it can kind of cover quite a broad spectrum. What we dealt with when we did our video is we dealt with kind of straight line pavé, but it can also encompass kind of what we refer to as multiple pavé as well, as in a few kind of different rows. Or I think from where it originally came from was, encrusted jewellery. So that pure fancy pants stuff that you see on your Instagram feed, which is just edge to edge sparkle. That's kind of full pavé. So if you go through the kind of Year 3 diploma and you find that you like pavé and you want to go down the road of fully encrusting work, it's rewarding, but by God, it's fiddly. So that's what we can say about these advanced techniques, because we're in the kind of Year 3 now. We've done these different levels. This is proper advanced stuff. And it's a natural progression of get your base kind of learning, do some fancier stuff, and now do some pure fancy pants stuff, which is where I come in. And yes, you said about all the years experience and the kind of experience of being a setter. And this is why we've kind of came to be doing these classes. So it is advanced, but I think a lot of the guys who will be doing this course are very much deserving of doing this, and they'll reap the rewards, because I've seen a lot of the guys' skills from the other diplomas, and we're very much there. I'm very much ready for it as well. But I think I know I've gone off on a tangent from pavé. I'll come back to it, I promise you.
Tangent's loud.
I'll come back to it. But I think what we should say at the first is, this is tricky. This isn't things that you're going to nail first time. things like, with the accuracy that it's required and the kind of the skill and the dexterity that is required with pavé, with tension, particularly with channel setting as well, and the halo, which encompasses the kind of doing the pavé setting bit in a box, which we'll probably talk about in a minute anyway. But it's very much advanced skills. So don't be disheartened when your first attempt at this is absolutely rubbish, because it took me a very, very, very long time to get to where I am now, but not just where I am now, but achieving the skills that I was to the level I was competent at. So it didn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things that you just pick up and you try once. Some people come into our classes and you can see they've just got that natural skill, and that's great to see because the future of the trade is in safe hands. But it's very rare that somebody will nail a technique like pavé setting immediately and just get it. That's rare. But as a tutor, and with the experience you've got, we can see them getting there. As much as they think it looks like one of the dogs has chewed it, you can see that the person has the potential, and with practice, they'll get there. The saying that we have here about pavé is prior preparation prevents piss poor pavé, right? So you've got to remember that, okay? You have to remember that when it comes to these things, because it's all about the setup and all about the work you do beforehand, before then the payoff. But yeah, back to pavé. It comes from the French for being paved, so it's kind of that nice kind of encrusted way. We focus on doing single row pavé, which is a good entry level, rather than complicating it with kind of beads in between stones. And how do you do it? Do you set it up for stagger? Do you set it up for grid-like pavé? We just deal with the single row, and it's the good way to start. Doing 3-5 stones in a row, perfect. And as you'll see in the video, it does require that element of precision and patience. There's a lot of P words involved with pavé, which is good, but it very much does require the concentration levels and the skill levels and the dexterity that is levels above just the simple beginnings of making jewellery.
Yeah.
Stone setting isn't for everyone, but I don't want to say that to deter people from it. I mean, I think a lot of people should try it, and don't just try it once and then walk away from it. I think it all depends on who's taught you as well, and I think it has to be taught properly and in a manner that helps you understand it. So when we're teaching this class, Jess, when we filmed these sessions, we made sure that as everybody will know, that the nice close-up shots that Jess likes, closer, and you can see the benefits of that. You can see the benefits of that because, and I know I keep going on about this, but the precision and the skill and the dexterity required with this, you have to see the up close. You have to be as if you're right there in front of it to see what you're doing, because you can't just say, take your scorper and do this now, take your graver and do this now. When I'm saying that, you have to be able to see it very much up close so that you can then take that and go away and practice yourself.
Yeah.
Pavé is probably still my favourite style of setting. I love doing it. And I love the kind of step-by-step process of it. Drill the holes, then knock the metal away, and each process leads to the next until what you're left with is this beautiful line of frosted stones, and it looks magic. When it's done well, there's no substitute for it. It just looks perfect. So it does. There's another P word for you as well.
All the P words today.
All the P words for pavé.
Yeah, and I love what you said about, don't worry if you're really bad at it to begin with. It's not an indication of where you'll be at the end. And I think we've seen this with our students as well. Something really interesting that I've noticed is often people who struggle more at the beginning are the ones who actually excel later on. And I feel like that with myself as well. Things that I feel like I'm good at now, when I first did them, the teacher wasn't like, oh, you're good at this. Like, I was totally unnoticeable and kind of struggling in the back or whatever. And sometimes the things that we're naturally good at, we take for granted, and we're just sort of like, I can do that. What's the next challenge? So it's kind of, I don't know if you've experienced that with your students as well, but seeing it as almost like a challenge and the next.
Yeah, I mean, to be a jeweler takes a certain kind of person. To be a stone setter then takes another kind of leap to another particular set of person. We have to be masochists, you know. The amount of pain we inflict on ourselves physically, mentally as well. Like, my hands are covered in scars. Mainly because I've been a dick, okay? So when we teach, we say, don't be a dick, you know, don't be like me. You know, I've got all these scars because I was stupid. So I am here to tell you not to be stupid. But there's that element of perseverance and doggedness. I think that's where most people will thrive. And having a certain ethos and mentality helps. Having the right tutor helps as well. Mm. But knowing and accepting that failure is just a step towards success is important. And, you know, if people have heard me talk before or been to any of my classes, they'll know that we don't sign up for this toxic bullshit of failure is not an option, because it's utter nonsense. People who say that, have they literally never failed in their life? Don't be bloody stupid. It's absolute nonsense. And it's okay to fail, and it's okay to make mistakes, because that's exactly how you learn. And if you make that mistake, if you drill too deep or you take too much metal away, then you know your tolerances for the next time. Mm. Nobody's expecting anyone to get it perfect first time or second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. It's only when you keep repeating it and doing it over and over again is then when you become a kind of, you master. It's always weird when I call myself, I'm a master setter. As you know, I don't.
You are a master setter.
I know, but it still sounds weird. In my head, I'm still some weird 17-year-old guy with a floppy fringe.
You know, on your forehead.
Oh no, yeah. I've got many a tattoo. I don't think master across my head would look any good. Yeah, I don't have much of an ego. I think that's a step too far. But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, at my classes, what we say, and I think we probably said it in the video as well, is that, you know, that failure is an option. Failure you have to fail to succeed. And I failed more times than everyone on these diplomas merged together. And it's because I've been doing it this long. And I have learned all these mistakes, and I've learned from these mistakes. And that's how we become a master goldsmith, a master setter, or a master of any art. And I think, what's that, the 10,000 hour rule?
Yeah.
You practice anything for 10,000 hours and you've mastered it. And I think years and years ago, I tried to figure out how many hours I'd been a goldsmith. So I was like, okay, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I did this and that. And I was smashed it. And there was tens and tens of thousands. I'm probably way up at hundreds of thousands of hours now. I know I'm giving my age away again. So yeah, don't be disheartened by watching these videos and not being able to set. Because I've put hours and hours and a lifetime into being able to master this. And you guys will too. These guys who are listening to this will be able to master this too. But patience is the key.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like a lot of the things that I learned in doing these videos and all of the stone setting videos that we've done is the wonderful world of burrs and drill bits. Mm-hmm. And so coming on a little bit more to the tools, I suppose, and just the knowledge of the tools. And a big part of it seems to be knowing what to use, where and when, to get the right shape, to kind of really get a nice fit on the stone. And obviously that's something you teach in the class, but maybe you could just share a little bit about, you know, how to kind of grapple with that, because there's so many different options, aren't there, and it can make quite a big difference.
There's loads of options out there, and of course we see, I mean, I followed as many jewellery tutors as I can, because basically I just want to steal their content and use it for myself. I'll edit that bit out, Jess, right? So
get inspiration.
That's it. So hold on, cut, start again. Right, I follow all these tutors so we can be inspired to take their content and make it our own. Right. So you see people, and these people are master setters as well, and they pass on their knowledge, and we may have been taught by different people, and they may use it in a different way. So the way I will do it is, you know, we talk about opening up holes for the pavé setting, and any kind of setting is, can you hear this hammer in the background here? So this is an authentic podcast and an authentic jewellery workshop, because somebody through that wall right there is absolutely battering hell out of a bit of silver at the moment.
So, there we go, it's happening. We're all used to it.
I can never get any peace in this place. So so we may have been taught by different people and have these different skills. As I say, the way I do it is use the ball bars in 5mm increments to open it up gently. You don't want to ask your bars to do too much. So there's no point drilling through with a 1mm and then going straight in with a 2.5mm ball bar. That's just going to heat up the metal too much. It's going to blunt the burr too much, and it may catch in there, it may snag, and plus it's going to take you more time. These burrs are becoming more expensive. Everything is becoming more expensive these days. Burrs, tools, and all these things, everything is rising. So where you can, you must do things. And there's that kind of argument versus time versus kind of efficiency, I suppose. And yes, you could do things faster by just forcing a burr through and getting it to remove a lot of metal quicker. But that burr will not last as long as protecting it and only going up in maybe 5mm increments. And that's the way I would like to do it. It's protecting these things and doing it sensibly. I feel that you're more in control when you're doing it that way as well. And you'll see in the videos also, I think when we discuss about perhaps you've drilled a little bit wonky as well, and it's about adjusting where the hole is too. So it all boils down to also is control with your pendant motor.
Yeah.
Or your Dremel. I think if people have just a one-speed Dremel, I think it's a little bit more difficult. I think when we're at this level, I think it's easier and better for people to have the foot pedal pendant motor. You're more in control with it, and it's about having pendant motor control. And I think an easy tip to try to get that control by holding it with a pencil as well. A lot of people like to kind of grasp their pendant motor in a fist. You don't have a lot of control with that. It's kind of holding it like a pencil. You've got all these little nerve endings in your fingertips. You know, feel the end of that. Be the burr. Okay, be the burr. You've got to be the burr, man. You've got to be the burr. But a good way to do that is just get an old scrap bit and just try making spirals with a 1mm ball bar or something like that, and just getting that control. Or trying to write your name. Write your name on a Sharpie in a kind of curly style or something like that, and then just follow that curve with the ball bar. And then what that does is it just allows you to get that control, how to hold with your elbows up, or you're resting your hand on your bench peg, but also knowing how deep to push it in as well, because if you push it in too deep, it'll snag in the metal and it'll pull it. So it's all about burr control when you're setting also, because there's no point in great you've been able to drill a hole and see a stone, but if it's miles away from each other and it's in the next postcode, then that's no use. And it's quite funny when we do the pavé setting or any kind of class like that, when we say, right, drill 3 holes in a row. Not quite as easy as you think, and experience tells me, because a lot of the guys, when we do the pavé, we all set it up to have 2 close together to do shear beads, and then 2 slightly apart so we can split the beads. And then the guys will ask me, what will we set it up for? And I'll just let it will be what it will be. And they're like, well, okay. And then half an hour later, they realise why, just because their holes are all over the place. So it is it's such a simple thing, isn't it? Drilling straight down, but it's not. It's not, because a lot the burrs don't behave in the way you want them to sometimes. But get back to my point about how other people do it. I'll see them using heart-shaped burrs and other things. A point on that, I was always taught that, it doesn't really matter how we get to the end process as long as we get to the same end process. And I'll teach this when I'm teaching as well. Now, we can deviate slightly and go apart and maybe cross over and go to different places. But if you're going away over there to then come back to here, then that's a much longer line drawn from start to finish. So therefore, that way is not efficient. Mm-hmm. So while myself and other setters and other tutors will do things in a very similar manner, we will cross over, but our lines will be the same length. But if people are going away over here to come away over there again, and go away over here again, then that's not an efficient way. So as much as, yes, it doesn't matter what we do to get to the end result, think about efficiency as well. Set in a manner where, time is money as well, isn't it? So
absolutely,
you've got to do things quickly.
Yeah. And time is such a precious resource, isn't it? When you're pricing up your jewelry, or just even the level of time you're able to focus, and I guess frustration as well. You know, if something's taking you too long, you're more likely or more vulnerable to become frustrated and tired. And I get, you know, it's such a level of detail. We're dealing with like fractions of a millimeter, of a point of a millimeter even.
That's what I say as well. You know, when we're teaching, perhaps, you know, even we didn't do flush setting, but you know, when you're talking about flush setting of setting a stone in to a certain depth and not confusing width for depth. Sometimes people drill too deep when all they had to do was open it up a wee bit. And we say, you know, we work in hundreds of millimeters, which are, you know, thousands of millimeters, which are not visible to the naked eye. It's ridiculous, the measurements that we work to as stone setters. Some of our level 1 classes, the guys that are beginning their jewellery journey, sometimes they'll find a CZ on the floor, and it's a 5mm CZ, and they'll say, I found this wee stone, and you're like,
that's huge.
That's no way. That's massive. That's enormous. Carat diamond kind of thing, you know. And like, well, you know, as a stone setter and as a guy who worked in high-end jewellers for all these years, I was setting half pointers, which are 0.7mm, 0.8 millimeters. That's a wee stone. that's a small stone. So we work in such strange, bizarre, tiny measurements, and a slip can make a difference, or a well-controlled burr can make a huge difference as well. And maybe we'll explore things like shape stones in the future, Jess, when we talk about corners and how, you know, how accurate you have to be with that. And it's just, there's all these levels of accuracy. We spoke at the start about how this is a level up from anything else. Other setting techniques, again, microclaw, shaped channel, any flush setting, any shape stone, you know, again, that's the proper upper echelons of stone setting. So there's, even though the guys are doing these, they're learning with rounds to do the pavé, the channel, and the tension, and the halos. There's more content to learn as well.
Always more, yeah, absolutely.
Always more.
Which is exciting, I think.
It is, yeah.
There's always more things to progress to. There's always more growth, and it keeps it fresh. It keeps you kind of energized as a jeweler.
And you absolutely can teach an old dog new tricks. You know, I mean, I ain't too proud to admit I've got failings, and if sometimes, you know, there's really obvious technique that you see in your life, you know, I've been doing that wrong my entire life, you know, my entire career, and it's great to be able to learn or to be shown something, and I don't care what level anyone's at. If they show me something that improves my skill levels, then I'm delighted about it. And again, I'm stealing it for myself, but I'm still delighted that I want to be able to learn. I still want to refine my skills, and I still want to get better and be better. You see guys out there on social media, and some of their settings insane, and it's wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I want to be when I grow up. So I am still inspired by, you know, quality goldsmithing and setting.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to tension and channel setting.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about those, because they're interesting. Like, why did we put them together? What are they? How are they similar? How are they different?
So they are similar in the way we set them, in that the space that you leave for the stones to go in, the stones can't go in until you create the negative space for the stones. And some people might be still sitting with a question mark above their head. They'll understand that when they see the videos. So the gap that we leave, so if we're setting a 5mm tension set stone, the gap should only be 3.5, 4mm. The stone should not be able to locate into place until you take your bearing cutter burr, which should simulate the edge and the girdle of the stone at the pavilion and the crown, and then that negative space for the stone to slot in. Now, this, we were talking about how accurate we need to be when we're doing pavé. This is even more accurate. Oh my God! So this requires deadly accuracy, because if you don't do it too much, there won't be enough metal holding in the stones. You've got the risk of the stones coming out. too deep and the stone will rattle about in there, and you've already predetermined what width your channel or the gap is for tension setting. So if you do it too deep, what are you going to do? Because that stone's always going to rattle about in there. So this is fierce accuracy.
Like playing with fire, isn't it?
It really is.
Do one more? Should we not? Should we?
Well, that's it. Do it a little bit more, and that's it. And my career's littered with just one more push. Oh no, smash! Why did I do that? Kind of thing. So that will never go away. But it's hold your breath time. When you're just getting in, because you know that if you slip with that bearing cutter and you burst through the top wall of your channel setting, again, that's it. Gubbed, it's knackered. You have to find ways to fix that. Do you have a magic wand? No. Okay, then it's a remake kind of thing. So, and you'll see in the video and how much we talk about it and the up close precision and things like that. But again, it's a very, very rewarding style of setting. Just to see stones suspended and in there. How did they get in there? They just looked as if they were placed in there. Or they were forged in there, from the fires of hell. So it's a very, very rewarding, but again, deeply, deeply accurate style of setting.
Yeah, it's like that high risk, high reward. That
very
moment
so.
When it does go in and you're like, and it clicks and you're just like, oh, it's worked.
Make sure it doesn't click too much, though.
No, not too much clicking. Okay.
Not too much clicking.
Note to self.
We're not a fan of the big click. No, tanzanites and emeralds and soft stones don't like clicks. They're not a fan of that.
Just a gentle falling.
Gentle pop and a gentle slide, and that's what we want.
There we go.
If you get a click with some stones, you'll get a crack with these stones as well. So.
Okay, it's not like the box clasp where you want the click.
Oh, that snap, that's a thing of beauty when that happens. That is a thing of beauty. You spend all day making a box clasp. Ah, that's great. I love when people share these videos. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
It's so satisfying, satisfying. But it's maybe as satisfying as getting these stones just locked into place when you're doing channel setting, because even if it's slightly wonky one way, then of course the table of the stone will flash another way. If it's wonky the other way, again, if you've got it too far away, all you're going to see is metal or a big gap in between, or it's too close, they're obviously lying on top of one another. They don't like that. You're going to smash them. So precision is key. And again, patience, with things like that. I think channel setting was probably the style that took me the longest to kind of master. Kept doing it wrong. I just didn't leave enough metal, or I was removing too much metal under the stones. And then when I was finishing it, because I'd had to maybe push over a little bit more than I had to, filing away, then just kind of bursting through the walls and things like that. So I had a huge amount of failure when it came to channel setting. And I hated it. I really did. I hated being asked to do it.
Now you've been filmed by a whole film crew doing it.
No, I've been filmed by a whole film crew with cameras thrust in my face.
Absolutely.
And I nailed it, so that was fine. That was pressure. Nothing like a bit of pressure. We thrive on that. We thrive on it.
Yeah, and it's something that was interesting to me as well. And we're talking about practice and making mistakes. Is that you work in copper. So you work in the base metals and you use quite thick metal as well. Do you want to talk a bit about how you practice, how you learn these techniques?
Yeah, so the thing about jewellery is it's expensive, isn't it? And as we spoke earlier, things are only getting more and more expensive, and it's a bloody nightmare. So what we like to do is teach at the most basic of levels. You may follow some stone setters out there and they have sexy kit. They have, they've got graver marks, they've got all these scopes, they've got the setting ball vices, and they've got everything, and it's great. And all these things make these guys' lives easier and allow them to be master setters. However, it's not where they started. They started with hand pushing. They started holding things in a ring clamp and a bench peg. They started just with ordinary steel gravers. They didn't have the sexy tungsten carbide ones now. They started with just their eyes, or maybe a jewellery loop, or a set of optivisors. They didn't start with those sexy lenses that magnify everything to 1 billion and where you can see what's going on. So we like to teach at the most basic, affordable level. It's already difficult for people to get into jewellery, to learn jewellery, because of the variety of tools that's required. We've kitted out this place. We've got 3 workshops in here, and we had to kit each one of them out. It's bloody expensive, we know. And we want it to be achievable for everyone to make jewellery. And if that means keeping our costs low for our classes, using hand pushing, but also using materials that are affordable too, because we make errors, because we smash stones. So CZs are a great training.
Don't smash a diamond.
Don't smash. Well, the diamonds can't smash, and this is the problem. And if guys are going through this and they're listening to this and they're wanting to pursue their stone setting career, then I'm afraid they are going to smash diamonds. So,
we need to just get comfortable with that.
But you've got to be prepared for this. You're going to chip stones. These wee things were underground. They were happy underground, Jess. And then these beautiful things were ripped out of their home and then cut into bits and then polished and shiny. They don't belong in pretty bits of metal. I know it's how I earn my money, but they belong under the ground. They're delicate wee things. That's why they were under the ground. And now we're bringing them out and putting big claws over them and then pushing it the wrong way and smashing it. They're delicate things. But smashing stones is how you learn your tolerances again. That's how you realise that you have to be a bit more delicate when you push claws over. Don't just whoosh them over. Be mindful that you're working with a soft stone. So I've lost my train of thought. What the hell were we talking about?
We were talking about working with affordable materials and starting.
Yes, so that's why. So affordableness, yeah. Well, we'll just seamlessly edit this, Jess. Not a problem.
No edit. We don't edit you at all, Scott.
I don't
want all of it.
You want all of me? No, put me back, please. So the reason we work in copper, again, it's more affordable, but it simulates the precious metals that we work in. It's soft and it's pliable. All the precious metals we work in are soft and pliable. They have to be. We have to be able to move them, forge them, shape them, file them, batter them, hammer them, do all these things to get them into the shapes that we want them to. Copper simulates that. And as much as prices of metals are skyrocketing now, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scale of things, copper's down at the bottom. It's not as soft as something like aluminium. It's something that we can use in an affordable manner to train to make jewellery in. And I think that's important when you're starting out. So not only getting the mind, if we can get in the mindset of we are going to make a balls up of this 17 times before we actually get it, then you might as well balls up in copper and CZ rather than getting a lovely piece of gold or silver. And silver's rocketing as well. So rather than expensive metals, let's make our errors in a more affordable way. And then once you're comfortable, you can progress. There's a lot of the guys who are based in Vanilla Ink as well. They've only worked with silver, and then they progress to gold. And it's like, I'm working in gold for the first time. It's just a metal. It's just another metal. You made the progress from copper to silver. It didn't freak you out. So don't be freaked out when you make the progression from silver to gold as well. And from gold to platinum or palladium, or if there's any point in palladium these days. Is anybody making in palladium? It's just been priced out in the market, isn't it?
Very, very occasionally.
Yeah, I know. It was all I used to do in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Everything was palladium.
It did have a fashionable moment, didn't it, palladium?
Everything, because we got this, you can have platinum, that's too expensive. Well, how about this alternative? And everybody went, yes, that's what I want. And all I did was work in palladium, and then it's just gone bye-bye because it's far too expensive. It's nonsense, the price of that. Yeah. But yeah, where you can, train in an affordable way. I don't want this to be unobtainable for normal people who, I don't want this just to be a rich person's plaything. That's not what we stand for and not what we're all about here. We believe that everybody should be given a chance to experience jewellery making. We do a lot of that through our social enterprise work here at Vanilla Ink, but we also think that the trade as well, as the guys, obviously down in Englandshire, you have to pay for your further education. If you're in a decent country like Scotland, we look after our young kids, and further education is free. Okay, there's plenty of room up here. Come on and move up. It's a much better country anyway.
We'll all be off to Scotland.
Yes, we will accept any progressive.
We'll come stay with you, Scott.
That's fine. It'll be, there's plenty of room in here. It's a nice big space, right? Lovely. There'll be a sleepover. It'll be fun. So we don't want this just to be something for those who happen to have money, because a lot of us don't. And it'll be good for these guys who are coming out of college and university, and or who are self-taught as well, for any levels, to see that it is something you can do and something you can pursue and something you can progress with in a way that isn't going to break the bank, in a way that isn't going to bankrupt you and say that, well, I want to be a setter, and then look at all these expensive things and go, what's the point? We don't have all the singing, all dancing things, and we're a successful jewellery school. Yeah. So it's important to know that you can get to my level and only do it in the most basic of ways. And I think I've done all right for myself in that. I would love the sexy tools, but I think that would be quite hypocritical then to say, I'll teach you in this way, but when I do it, I'm going to use this, So, there's in front of the camera Scott, and there's behind the scenes Scott, who's a diva, smoking his cigarette. Get out of my way, darling. Get out of my way. You ordering poor Lorna about, bring me my dressing gown and a brandy. That's real me. That's what happens at Vanilla Ink.
That's what happens when you get home. Yeah, you've got a secret contraband cupboard with all the...
Oh, no, when you get away with that in the house, no chance.
Oh, gosh, that's funny. And actually, talking of tools, you have very kindly put together an amazing toolkit for our advanced diploma students, because stone setting it requires bespoke tools, doesn't it? And it's not necessarily things you can just buy. You learn how to adjust your tools and work with them. So the hand tools, maybe you can just share a little bit about.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people ask me this as well. Like, I'm going to start stone setting. What tools should I buy? I'm like, right. So for what we were talking about in the Diploma 3, there's flat scorpers, there's gravers. We can also look at spit sticks as well. We can look at push tools. We can look at some homemade tools as well, making me center punches and things like that. So if we just run through the options, and then people can realize why it's such a minefield. Things that do things. So scorpers, gravers, flat bottom scorper, basically like a mini chisel, nice flat bump. Got a nice cutting point on it, but they also come in different widths. So if you're going to pursue a career in stone setting, you're going to set different widths of stones. So at certain times, you'll use the ones that are different widths. It's the same with your gravers. So your square graver, or you get a lozenge graver, which is a little bit more narrower. These are the ones that come to a point. These are sharp and they will cut lines. They will remove metal. These are what engravers use as well. But you also get a spit stick, which is a much narrower, thinner, delicate cutting point. But you also get other ones. So when I taught, believe it or not, I was taught stone set. Everything was done by hand. I wasn't allowed. It sounds like it was pre-electricity. I wasn't allowed a pendant motor, and I kept saying this will make my life easier if I just give me a pendant motor. No, you need to learn to cut stones by hand, son. So I had to get to be hand drills and cut all the stones by hand, and cut seats with it was called a bull sticker. So it was an oval graver cut at an angle, and you had to pare the metal away and cut the seat by hand, 4 rounds as well. But that was good for me, because when you get to flush set square stones or shape stones, that's all cut by hand. So because square burrs haven't been invented yet, curse you, science. Right? If they do, it'd be really good. But yeah, you have to cut stones by hand. So that kind of upbringing, I keep referring to it as if they raised me like Mowgli or something like that. So that upbringing I had as jewellery held me in good stead, having these hand skills by being able to cut. So what we're providing is what we think is the right spectrum of tools to get through Diploma 3 and the stone settings that we do here. And the thing is as well, when these tools are supplied, so if any of the guys listening to this are going to buy their own, the problem is you have to buy the handle, then you have to buy the scorper itself, and they provide, for some reason, the scorper, it's about 17 foot long, and it's bizarre because and also it doesn't fit into the handle. So if you've just bought this and you've never seen anybody put this together before, you have no idea.
Possible, yeah.
No idea what goes on. So you have to grind down the back bit to put into the handle, but also then it's too long for your hand. So you have to then sit, everybody's hand's a different size and shape. So we try and get it to an average length because we can't bespokely cut as the scorpers for everyone. That's something we just can't do. So what we've cut them to is a kind of good length. But what we'll be able to do is explain and show with diagrams as well how to grind these down, because they have to be ground down, funnily enough, on a grinder. Sparks Fly is dead cool. It makes great social media content. Hardened steel being ground makes brilliant social media content. Next, these wee slow motion videos you get when you're grinding it and you see all the sparks fly off.
We want to see one of you, Scott. That's
fine. I'll do that as long as my feet isn't in it.
Has to be slow mo. Yeah.
Honestly, slow mo. Grinding down scorpers. This is what the slow mo was invented for.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to grind them down and be able to maintain their sharpness as well through a variety of sharpening stones. So we're providing sharpening stones, we're providing a guide as well of how to look after, how to maintain, how to set up, and how to care for your scorpers as well, because that's important. Again, there's no point in giving this tool without knowing how to properly use it. So there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. I know we keep going back to it saying this is quite advanced, isn't it? Yes, it damn well is. There's a lot going on here. But once you understand how these tools are used and how to use them properly, and you get an understanding of how they work, then that's it. You'll be able to pick up any of them and use them. So it's, again, don't be discouraged if you're not cutting away metal straight away. You've never picked up one of these before. You don't know how to use it, so don't worry about it. And some people in my class kind of freak out because they don't, they're cutting too shallow or too deep, or they're just not moving metal at all. That's okay. It'll come. You'll get there slowly but surely. You're not going to get it on the first ever cut you've done with a tool you've never held before, doing a technique that you've never looked at in your life. So perspective.
It's always good to be reminded of that, isn't it?
Yes, and I will always do that until I'm blue in the face. It's important to understand where you are on your journey, and that patience is required, and you'll get there eventually. Definitely. But don't freak out. Don't freak out if you can't do it first time. I'm very much one of it for being completely impatient in every other walk of life apart from my job. As I said before, it takes a certain mindset. It takes a masochist to be a stone setter. The physical and mental pain we put ourselves through, why do we do it? You have to be a certain person. Now, people who know me, they'll know about my journey and things like that. They'll understand that I found out I was autistic at 39 and ADHD and things going all over the place. But that's helped me be who I am, because I'm a perfectionist. Now, when people say you're a perfectionist, it was, you have to be, you think you're brilliant. It's not. It's about not being able to walk away from something because you're never happy with it. So it's a serious mental condition, and and it's very difficult to live with. But it makes you a bloody good goldsmith and stone setter, because your meticulous attention to detail holds you in good stead. These particular styles of setting, the attention to detail has to be there. You have to be aware of it. You have to be aware if there is a little bit of flash metal there that shouldn't be there. You have to be able to see if the stones are sitting perfectly, or are they slightly askew? Is one too deep? Is one too shallow? Is there enough metal over that one? There's not. That attention to detail works. So I've been blessed with that, as much as it's very much a curse as well. I'm not saying being autistic is it's a smooth ride. It's not, but I did find my calling. So for those of us who are similar minded, I know a lot of people do get in touch with me to say they are quite similar to me, and they may well be neurodivergent, or they may think they are, but it does take a particular set person to do this. I'm glad I found my calling. I'm delighted with it, But I think the ability to go into flow state as well helps, very much helps being a stone setter. And I think that's where the ADHD comes into it, because the intense focus. I always think it's funny because I can't focus on anything, but when I focus on something, laser focus. And I think this will resonate with a lot of people, because again, people get in touch when I share these things online.
Definitely.
The ability to shut things out and just go into that flow state when you're setting, and go into rhythm, routine, and pattern, particularly if you're doing a lot of stones in a row, I think is really important, because we don't all work on our own. With some of us work in busy places, some of us don't have the ability to shut out noise and things like that. So you kind of always have to train your brain to go into the zone. To the extent where sometimes somebody walks up beside your bench and you shit yourself because you're so much in the zone you don't even realise that you're there. If you can do that and you're able to get into flow state, then you're going to be a good setter.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's lovely to hear you talk about it. And I think, the rewards that come with that as well, and the satisfaction, which in the videos, but also in the pieces, and the joy that people get out of wearing the pieces. Like, there's such a continuous flow past the setting.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's, a well-made something is a thing of beauty. Anything, it could be anything. And I always appreciate the craft in these things and how they go together. And it's funny when the guys come to our taster sessions, but make a silver ring, make a pair of earrings, make a bangle, and that's their first dabble into the world of jewellery, and they'll always say, "Oh, I never realised how much goes into jewellery making." And you're like,
You're like, nothing yet.
One, nothing yet. Two, yes, that's why it's not just glued in and things like that. I did see a TV programme once where it showed you how a stone set ring was made. And do you know how it's made? I love how it's made, right? It's like, coming up and how it's made. Buses, cricket bats, electric guitars, right? It's brilliant. And one of them was like, jewellery. And I was like, wow, we're going to see how jewellery is made. And they made, it was like a signet ring, but it was an internal kind of bezel setting. And then they said, the jeweller then grinds down the stone to put it in the setting. And I was like, no, he doesn't. He does not grind the stone down. And then it was the jeweller glues the stone in place. And I was like, no, he doesn't. Frothing at the mouth, throwing things at the television. That's people's perception of what we do. I've had people stand over my shoulder and say, do you just glue them in? Like, no, fucking don't.
How very dare you.
How very dare you. So, yes.
Yeah. No, so if you would like to learn how to not just glue them in.
God, I know, no. Jeweller's adhesive should be nowhere near pavé setting. Or indeed any setting. Please, for the love of God, no.
Wonderful. Well, Scott, thank you so much. I feel like we could talk about this all day. And
we could, couldn't we? We could just go on and on and on, but people are going to be really bored of the sound of my voice.
Never. So. This is what we live for. Stone setting chat. I mean, stone setting chat doesn't get any more exciting than that. But yeah, if you would like to hear more and learn more from Scott, obviously we would love to have you guys come join us on the Advanced Diploma. It is the third year, so if you're brand new, then don't worry, there are other years. There's year one, which is for beginners to intermediate jewelers, year two, which is a diploma in fine jewelry, and then it moves on to the Advanced Jewellery Diploma, and I'll put the links to those in the show notes. Also, we'll make sure we include all the links to Scott's school and information so you can find out more about him. He has an awesome book.
I do, yeah, look.
It's here for anyone who can see. If you're listening to the podcast, you won't be able to see, but it's Stone Setting, it is called.
Funny
Good
that.
Title, strong title.
Proof that the guy knows what he's talking about. He's literally written a book on it.
With Scott McIntyre, and he's right here.
He's not a fraud or a charlatan. He's not. He's the real deal, I promise you.
So go and get his book at the very least. And the kits we were talking about as well are included in the course price. So it is all sorted out for you. So I think, and a lot of the jewelers say this, a lot of the tutors say, like, we wish we had this training when we were learning. Like, we wish it was offered in this way. It doesn't make it easy because everything's challenging, but it makes it possible. It makes it doable, and it makes it fun and enjoyable. And we can't wait to see what you guys make. And I'm very excited. I guess you will be as well, Scott, about seeing the students work. And
very much so. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. I love when people share with me what we've taught them, and the pride that goes into them. Look, I did my first so and so setting, or I did this, and I had somebody messaged me yesterday saying they'd flushed out an emerald, which was miraculous. The fools flush out an emerald.
That's very brave.
I know, right? Or they were working in 18-karat yellow gold for the first time, and it's great. I love that. I love when people get in touch and say so. I am always delighted when people respond to any of the classes that have been on, any of the videos that we create. So I love seeing that. So please, guys, get in touch and let me know how you're getting on. And actually, Jess, I believe that we're doing a Q&A session as well. So the guys will get a chance to grill me, hopefully in a very nice way. So guys, if you're listening, be gentle with me. I'm a fragile little bubble. So only ask me easy questions, all right?
No, it's not true. Scott is very robust and awesome, and he can handle all of it.
No, God, please be nice to me. Tell me I'm a good boy.
Yeah, so the Q&A sessions are part of the diploma. So every week, the tutor who has taught that particular class, and obviously Scott has taught 3 of these classes, and you have more than 3 weeks to do them because they're quite involved classes. He'll be there to help support and guide you guys, and hear your successes, hear your challenges, hear your failures, and we'll all be there to support you along. So you are definitely not alone with this whole journey. So Scott, if people want to come and say hi to you after listening to the podcast, want to come and find you online, where is the best place for them to connect with you?
I'll be on the Instagram. You'll find me at Instagram at Vanilla Inc. _CIC. CIC stands for Community Interest Company, if you didn't know that. So you'll get me on Instagram at Vanilla Inc. CIC. Come see me, come follow me. We do a whole variety of things up here. We do classes, we do commissions, we rent out bench space, we do social enterprise work, and we do an incubator program as well. So there are many facets to Vanilla Inc., if you pardon the pun, and we're always kept busy on our toes. But we've got an awesome team up here trying to change the world through jewellery.
Love that. They are incredible and we love them. So definitely go and check them out, give them a follow and support them. And yes, and we can't wait to see you guys, those of you that are joining us on the Advanced Diploma. Enrollments for all the diploma programs this year do end on the 26th of May, which is closely coming up. So do come and have a look if you're interested. We've got open days and lots of things, discovery calls you can book if you want a little bit more support deciding if it's right for you. So thanks again so much, Scott. Look forward to chatting to you again very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. And thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Take care, guys. And see you all out there soon. Bye-bye.